Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're taking a first look at a brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Mudbray. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community and a fellow content creator, Inadequence, so many thanks for the battle submission. Mudbray has released as a part of the in-person City Safari event, so if you are in one of these in-person events, you will have access to this Pokemon. If not, then I imagine it will have a global release at a later date. Now, Mudbray is going to be a pure ground type with the moves of Mud Slap and then your choice of Body Slam, Bulldoze, and Earthquake. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a first look at this brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go. We've got a battle of Shadow Pokemon in the first match, Shadow Sableye versus Shadow Marowak. Sableye is going to strike first with a foul play. Marowak can win the twos just with the Mud Slap, so Inadequence is not going to stay in. He makes a nice catch onto the Corviknight, catching the Bone Club where it is going to be resisted. Opponent now going to send in Drifblim. Drifblim, an incredibly good Pokemon to bait out, considering that Mudbray is running mono ground moves, so it would have absolutely nothing for this Drifblim. Drifblim is going to be firing off its energy, going for an Icy Wind, just looking to debuff the Corviknight. Corviknight going to be hit with another charge attack, but if it's another Icy Wind, I don't think this is quite going to knock out. Yeah, the Corviknight survives. We see an aggressive switch back into the Sableye, banking a move on the Corviknight for later, and Sableye will easily be able to pick up the knockout onto the Drifblim. Back in comes the Marowak. Marowak looking for a farm down, but Shadow Sableye says no. Hanging on very low HP, making the foul play, forcing the final shield. In comes Corviknight, and Corviknight's gonna get to deny all this energy. Sky Attack picks up the KO. In the back, it's more Pekko, and they're gonna have a terrible day. In comes Mudbray. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. We move to the next match, and this is a core breaker. Shadow Sableye against Togetic. Togetic, of course, does have access to super effective Dazzling Gleam, but Sableye can threaten a lot of damage with its own Dazzling Gleam, as Togetic is taking a lot of damage from these Shadow Claws. The opponent does end up shielding. Will they go for a bait? No, they full send the Dazzling Gleam. These Fairy Winds are adding up. Sableye now looking to go for a foul play bait, hoping the opponent will go for the double shield, and they do. That is incredibly nice. I believe Shadow Sableye may now be able to win the two shield against Togetic. Togetic baits with the Psyshock. They get another move, but if it's a Psyshock, it's double resisted. It is. It doesn't KO, and Sableye wins the twos. Oh no, Togetic. My goodness, the Psyshock and Dazzling Gleam buff still not doing much for it. In comes Drapion, in comes Mudbray. In the back, the opponent has Gastrodon, and Inadequence is going to bank a ton of energy, and now Gastrodon gets to helplessly flail as Corviknight hits the field. Gastrodon goes for the Earth Power, and Corviknight just simply does not care. Corviknight shaking off charge attack after charge attack. This is where Corviknight is at its best, really using its defensive typing to wall things energy in the zeros. And Shadow Sableye is very effective at getting shields down. Here, Corviknight is going to make it to a Sky Attack. This will inflict some solid damage onto the Drapion. And there's the combo play into Mudbray. A little bit of shock and awe there in game number 2. Shadow Drapion did not know what hit it, and that's a good game. We move to the next match, Shadow Sableye into Golisopod. It's definitely nice to catch the bug type on the lead where it's not completely walling everything that Mudbray has. Shadow Sableye is going to no-shield. Aqua Jet comes through, and it looks like Sableye will be able to win the ones here, which is quite nice. Golisopod is going to commit the shield. Shadow Sableye will make the foul play. This will force the opponent to fire off energy, but Sableye, again, even if it loses switch, will be able to get that ever-important final shield or just win switch advantage outright. Opponent decides to let it go, so now switch advantage has been won. In comes a Swampert. Swampert getting a healthy energy head start, but now Corviknight is going to hit the field. Corviknight, of course, double resisting these mud shots. Swampert is going to get to spam out Hydro Cannons, but they're going to need 3 Hydro Cannons, or actually maybe 2 Hydro Cannons if whatever the third Pokemon is can get a little bit of fast move pressure onto the Corviknight. Sky Attack is going to be shielded. That ever-important final shield has been removed from play, and this Hydro Cannon will not be enough to knock out here. Corviknight is going to withstand that damage. In comes Alolan Sandslash as their final Pokemon, and Mudbray hits the field. Mudbray is going to be shielding up the Ice Punch. It is taking super effective damage here. Mudbray over-farming and playing to the CMP tie, needing Bulldoze to be enough, and it is. Down goes Sandslash. In comes the Swampert. Swampert fires off energy. Swampert needs to be at back-to-back Hydro Cannons to win this game, because if they are not, and they are not, they're going to lose. Corviknight had the move loaded. Sky Attack KOs the Swampert, and that game ends in a win as well. We move to the next match, Shadow Sableye against Shadow Dragonite. Shadow Dragonite has insane fast move pressure, but in exchange, it is very, very glassy. Sableye over-farming quite a bit, going to commit an early shield, look to double up on foul plays, and force the opponent to make a difficult choice. Because the opponent can win the twos here, but they're going to have to give up both shields. They decide to shield the first, and now Sableye able to make it to another move. Are they really willing to double shield for a switch? The opponent says yes. Unfortunately, this is a bit of an awkward health range, but with the last Shadow Claw registering, I believe Corviknight should be able to get the sand attack down. Dragonite goes for the superpower. We see an aggressive switch. Oh no! Into Mudbray, hoping Mudbray would have play in the back, but it's a Dugong. If this was a Lapras, things would be looking a lot better for Mudbray here, because it wouldn't consistently be taking the super effective Ice Shard damage. But since it's Dugong, this is very, very tough for our poor friend Mudbray. Mudbray does make the Earthquake, though. Earthquake, I believe this should just be able to fully knock out the opponent, and it's going to be up to Corviknight to try and sweep. Dragonite gets the farm down. In comes the Corviknight. In the back is Toxapex. And I think, unfortunately, Toxapex, there's just too much of a health disparity here. Firing off the Sky Attack, that is going to do quite a bit of damage. But unfortunately, Corviknight's going to need 3 moves, and the Toxapex is going to get the back-to-back brines first. And there it is. So, unfortunately, not quite able to clutch the win in this one. The Dugong in the back proving to be particularly problematic. We move to the next game, Shadow Sableye versus, oh wow, a Skarmory. That is not something I was expecting to see, but hey, Skarmory is here. It is extremely, extremely slow with its pacing. Steel Wing is a pretty unfortunate move, but they will barely be able to get to a Sky Attack before Sableye gets its second foul play. Sableye could honestly shield and farm down here if it wants to. Opponent does not want to let that happen. They send out Gastrodon, but Gastrodon is not a safe switch. In comes Corviknight. It's not the grass type that we're fearing, but still, Corviknight's going to do a great job at shutting down the Gastrodon. Gastrodon now going to be met with a Sky Attack. Sky Attack is going to inflict some very solid damage, and now Corviknight might be able to do something it so very rarely can do, which is actually get a farm down. Earth Power number 2 is going to connect. Corviknight does get the farm down and exits with a Charge Attack loaded. In comes Skarmory, over-farming, firing off the Iron Head. This is resisted, but the Skarmory is very low. It cannot hang on. In the back is Morpeko, and guess what, Morpeko? In comes Mudbray, and they're going to immediately resign the match. We move to the next match, and the opponent is actually me. This is how I found out that he was testing out this Pokemon. We ended up queuing in Go Battle League, and we chatted afterwards, and he was like, hey, I'm testing out this Mon. Do you want footage? So that's how it ended up happening. So he is going to fire off a foul play bait, and I will end up committing the shield. I was worried about a potential Power Gem. Power Gem, not too common, but I have seen it around. Here, a savage bait call from Inadequance, calling that it's not the Acrobatics, and now he is going to commit the shield. He's farming up, trying to get the double up, but he can't quite get there. He gets the double up, but the Fairy Wind goes through. The Fairy Wind KOs, and Corviknight hits the field. Corviknight now going to be met with a Lapras pivot from me. This is going to be tough because Corviknight has a lot of heavy lifting to do in this match. Corviknight is needed to get rid of the Lapras because Mudbray doesn't want to deal with Lapras, but Corviknight is also needed for the Jumpluff, as the Jumpluff is going to be triple resisting Mudbray's current moveset. We're going to see a shield from the Corviknight on Sparkling Aria number 2. Corviknight will look to go for an overfarm and then pick up the knockout with Sky Attack. So Corviknight is going to exit with a decent amount of health and energy. It's going to be Shadow Marowak in the back. We see the pivot into Mudbray. Mudbray unfortunately met with a switch into Shadow Jumpluff. Shadow Acrobatics is no joke. That is so much damage. We're going to see the Bulldoze reached. This is triple resisted. Bulldoze not going to do much. It does get a debuff, but unfortunately, it's just too little too late. Acrobatics KOs Corviknight, and unfortunately, that game will not be a win. Good lead in the next match, leading into a Primeape. Opponent safe switches into a Shadow Drapion. Out comes Mudbray, and the opponent accidentally throws on alignment, giving an entire Mud Slap for free. Aqua Tail does huge damage. Mudbray firing off this Bulldoze to guarantee the knockout, not wanting to trust the opponent, getting a damage registration error and a final charge attack. In comes Primeape. Primeape is going to get the Karate Chop farm down, unfortunately falling just shy of the Bulldoze. In comes Sableye. Sableye immediately met with a Rage Fist. Opponent firing off Rage Fist number 2, and we will see the shield from the Sableye. This is going to be a bit interesting here. The opponent now heavily boosted. And Adequance, he's double shielding. He's looking for a full farm down, hoping Sableye energy will allow him to sweep. But that's not what you're hoping to see in the back. It's going to be Talonflame. There is still a potential chance to win this game, but it's going to be very difficult. Sableye grabs the first shield, going for the foul play. Foul play is going to be no shielded, banking the move and sending in Corviknight. If Corviknight can make a move and force the final shield, then Sableye has a chance to win that CMP tie if it's attack weighted. Corviknight can't quite get the move. Talonflame gonna fire off its energy. They're gonna go for a Brave Bird, and it does KO. And unfortunately, Sableye so close, but can't quite pull off the win. We move to the next match, Shadow Sableye into Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Now, this is a pretty nice matchup for the Sableye. Sableye is going to have the same pacing as the Sandslash, but Sableye will very comfortably win the CMP tie. Sableye goes for the foul play. The only shielding scenario the opponent wins is zeros, so it does make sense for them to play this out. They're going to go for an Ice Punch, and now Feraligatr hits the field. Feraligatr is genuinely going to be very uncomfortable here. Sableye goes for the foul play, grabs the shield, out comes Mudbray, and unfortunately, I think Mudbray is just going to get absolutely shredded with a Hydro Cannon. Mudbray is going to no shield and get KO'd. That is unfortunate. In comes Shadow Sableye. Shadow Sableye just going to look to try and get this as low as it possibly can, and hope that Corviknight will be able to sweep in the back. Sableye going to play to the CMP tie, winning CMP over Feraligatr. Feraligatr is just going to no shield. In the back is going to be Gallade, and we see a catch. No shot, catching a Leaf Blade onto the Corviknight. What a beautiful play from an Adequance. And Adequance farming up a ton of energy with the Corviknight. Corviknight striking with the Iron Head, and that's going to pressure a shield from Gallade. Gallade, the only Pokemon in history to get shredded by neutral sand attacks. They go for the close combat. Corviknight hangs on. In comes the Sandslash. Sandslash exits with energy, but it does not leave with a move. And Sableye is going to be able to take this game. Sableye foul play, KOs Gallade, and that's a good game. We move to the next match, Shadow Sableye, Wigglytuff. Oh, this is a nightmare. Save switch into the Corviknight. Wigglytuff not switching out. Oh my goodness. Have we found Wigglytuff double Mud Slap? Because if so, they're about to get destroyed by Corviknight. Corviknight is a Pokemon that has many, many flaws. But one thing that it is the absolute king of is making every single Wigglytuff double slap team wish they had queued in with a different team. And the opponent sends in Gastrodon, so it's exactly the team we were expecting. And we're going to see a switch into Sableye. Oh my goodness, is it the Earth Power? Is it the Body Slam? It's the Body Slam! Devastating for the opponent. They will make it to an Earth Power, but Sableye is going to commit a shield. Because if Sableye gets the shield call right, Sableye can just farm down. The opponent can only make a Body Slam. Body Slam, not a particularly threatening attack. This does set up the Sableye to be KO'd by one charm, but exiting with a Dazzling Gleam is very, very nice. Firing off the Dazzling Gleam, that does big damage. Corviknight's still around and does have some energy. Mudbray gonna hit the field, trying for a farm down, getting the Mud Slap farm down. In the back is gonna be Shadow Marowak. And now we're gonna see a nuke. The Earthquake finally launched by Mudbray. Will we see the damage? Yes, we do, getting it to 1 HP. Snipe with a Sand Attack, and that's a good game. Hopping to the final match, Shadow Sableye into Dugong, our second Dugong sighting of these battles. This time, though, not aligned against the Mudbray, which is a big positive. Shadow Sableye is going to strike with a foul play that does significant damage. Sableye opting to stay in because Icy Wind or Drill Run, neither one is knocking out here. Opponent will go for the debuff of the Icy Wind. In comes Sableye, and now we're going to see a bait. He farmed up to the Dazzling Gleam. He's baiting with the foul play, getting the shield, and Corviknight is going to hit the field. Again, Corviknight with a shield advantage, or with shields down, is where it wants to be. Corviknight gonna be hit with a foul play. That does big damage. Can Corviknight hang on here? It really needs to. Foul play does not KO. Corviknight barely able to withstand that damage, firing off the Sky Attack. Sky Attack is going to be shielded, and the opponent all shields down for the remainder of this match. In comes Mudbray. Mudbray shielding up as Shadow Sableye would do serious damage. Mudbray does not seem to be the tankiest Pokemon around. In comes Dugong, and we're going to see the Bulldoze launched at the Dugong. Bulldoze, a pretty weak move. Will it KO? It does. That is very, very nice. Mudbray also exiting with energy. No, but it's a jump bluff in the back. And unfortunately, Mudbray, it really needs coverage moves. Gonna go for the triple resisted Earthquake and resign the match. All in all, I'm very happy to see new Pokemon released into the world of Pokemon Go. Considering the fact that this is, at the moment, not globally released, it's only available to people in the city safaris, I genuinely don't mind that they've released it with mono ground coverage. I mean, it also has access to Body Slam, but Body Slam is really not an amazing move, especially when you don't get same type attack bonus on it. So it's a Pokemon that I think could have potential in the future if it does get some kind of solid coverage move. But since it hasn't had a global release yet, I do think it is a genuine positive, the fact that it is quite limited, because it's not going to be seeing competitive play while it has a mono ground moveset, just due to the fact that there are other Mudslappers like Claydol and Shadow Marowak that have coverage, so they're going to be preferred. So honestly, I feel like this was a pretty well done rollout. It's very clear that they wanted to release Amon and have it as a City Safari exclusive for a while before its global release. So giving it an incomplete moveset, I feel like actually works pretty nicely there, where people who are able to play early will have access to it, but it's not something that you need to win in the Go Battle League by any means. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.